Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Jason Nguyen. I live in the neighborhood of Fisher Park. I'm also a member of Save Santiago Creek Alliance. Our group has long-term residents of many neighborhoods like Fisher Park, Floral Park, Morrison Park, and a few others in North Santa Ana. We're bicycling, exercise, health, and environmental advocates. We're all about the protection of the environment and the planet. Recently, we have been maligned as the 1% elitists and even racist. Those comments were inappropriate and do not represent what our group is about. We do want a bicycle trail, just not where it will destroy a beautiful natural creek. And I love where I live, and I just hope that we can choose an alternative plan for the bike trail where it would not make a negative impact on the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nguyen. And there's several people that have requested to speak on that same issue. I wanted to let the public know that staff, thank you so much, Mr. City Manager, has gone ahead and provided me with the answers to the many questions I asked last time we spoke of the issue, last time you were here at the meeting. I just received them tonight, but Mr. City Manager, if you don't mind making those accessible to the public as well. There's several questions that were posed, and you'll find those answers rather interesting. And next we have Ronald Salem, followed by Brian Kay.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I appreciate you getting that information for us. Hello, council members. My name is Ronald Salem. I'm the community liaison of a recently formed group called Save Santiago Creek Alliance. We're 4 weeks old. We have 160 paying, donating members in the 5-6 neighborhoods in northern Santa Ana. We are a large electorate that does vote for all of you. Our electorate has become very, very riled and upset by a group of people that have been giving misinformation, not only to City Council, but the public. I am specifically, though, here today to talk to you about eminent domain. The Pro-Bicycle Trail group would like to put a Class 1 bicycle trail down the Santiago Creek from the Interstate 5 to Jack Fisher Park. They claim that there's room to put it down the middle between the properties. That's not true. I have provided each of you a Orange County parcels map. And if you look at that, the orange lines represent the parcels that are privately owned. Down the middle, where they suggest to put the Class 1 trail, is the creek bed. And on the sides of that are the levees. You can't put a bike trail in the middle of a flood creek bed. The red line, though, represents where their proposed bike trail would go. It goes across 14 private properties that sit along the creek bed. The only way to put a Class 1 bike trail would be then by hostile government use of eminent domain. As you're well aware, 80% of the public is against the use of eminent domain, and I have 1 minute, okay? I know, you just threw me off. Is against eminent domain. I very much would like to meet with each of you. I would like you to be aware that I do represent, as the community liaison, a large number of our community members. We were last week filmed by PBS for a 3-part series on our organization already. The next person, I'd like to take the last few seconds to introduce the next speaker. He is a City of Orange local hero who's been in the local Orange County Register and in national and international papers, and will specifically talk about the effect the bicycle trail has had on his life in the City of Orange. Thank you.
That would be Brian Kay.
I'm sorry?
Is that Brian Kay?
Yes.
Happy evening, council members, Santa Ana city officials, and staff. Thank you for serving. My name is Brian Kay, and I'm with the Save Santiago Creek Alliance. I own a home in Orange and overlooks the Santiago Creek, the trail, and beautiful northern Santa Ana. When one tugs at a single thing in nature, one finds it attached to the rest of the world. John Muir. I love the trails, and I love to ride from Irvine Park to Hart Park to the Santa Ana River trails. I love to ride the paved trails, the dirt trails, and the rocky riverbed down below. I want to thank the Santiago Greenway Alliance in Santa Ana for the trail system and a beautiful pathway in this natural setting, and for the work in removing the concrete paved area west or east of Tustin, and for helping to return the Santiago Creek to a more natural setting. Having the trail so close to my home and riding it from end to end for the last decade has given me some insight, the impact and the changes that occur with a paved trail. One constant will be the homeless in an area. Build a trail, a freeway, or anything else, and the homeless are going to return to their home. One change will be the increase of Aquanet, or herbicides. They'll spray this along the trail, along the new concrete to keep vegetation from growing over it. The paved trail will bring changes other than increase in traffic pesticide. Increases in graffiti and crime will occur as well. Graffiti was a daily occurrence. Crime hit a peak with broken windows, vehicle break-ins, and general vandalism happening constantly. Trees and plants not controlled by the pesticide overgrew the trail, and this overgrowth provided the criminal element with a staging ground for unhealthy and illegal activities. These were not homeless people committing these acts. I've never seen a homeless person out spraying graffiti. Graffiti and the conditions conducive to crime have a negative impact on the area, the environment, and the quality of life, property value, and people's safety. My parents taught me a worldview of home ownership. Everything from the roof, the plumbing, the streets, and the environment needed to be taken care of. So I did it. I painted over the graffiti. I cleared the piles of trash. I trimmed trees and cleared overgrowth. I removed the staging grounds for crime. My territory runs from Park Orleans and Glassell, Hart Park, to the Santa Ana Street Bridge to the west. This is both sides of the riverbed. There are a lot of issues on the table tonight. Vagrancy, homelessness, pesticides, healthy trees almost 100 years old being removed, crime, graffiti, eminent domain, and the environment. None of these will be solved by paving a trail to one of the last existing natural green belts in Santa Ana, Orange County, and California. Council members, staff, Santa Ana officials, thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry if I went over. These are pictures of the graffiti that I painted over in the last year and a half. This is basic 20-page stock, 2 to 3 pictures a page.
Thank you, Mr. Kay. If you want to leave that behind, did you want to or not so much?
Not so much. I can submit a copy later.
Sure. Thank you so
very
much. Next, we have Chris Lancaster, followed by Margaret Ospina.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, staff. Thank you for your time. My name is Chris Lancaster. I'm a resident of Casa de Santiago and also a member of the Save Santiago Creek Alliance. So that's the issue I'd like to address tonight. As you know certainly better than me, the budget of the city's been slashed by tens of millions of dollars. Hundreds of people have lost their full-time positions. The city's been forced to renegotiate contracts, furlough workers, eliminate and delay raises. It's paid a terrible price. We're looking at outsourcing the city fire department. And despite all these cost-cutting measures, we're still faced with big shortfalls, which is obviously going to be complicated by the California Supreme Court decision on redevelopment funds. So the issue of the creek being turned into a bike path is also a fiscal problem. It's going to trigger new expenses, maintenance, legal liabilities, untold numbers of dollars will have to be spent, which could be used perhaps to save a teacher, keep somebody working, not have to renegotiate a salary, and avoid the personal wreckage that comes from such cutting. Regrettable, but necessary sometimes. That's the facts and figures, though. I've got a kind of a personal stake in this. My wife Robin and I have raised 3 kids in this city, and they fondly remember times where we would go down to what they called the river bend. The river bend, we know that Santiago Creek is never going to be like the mighty Mississippi, But to them, it was as close as they were going to get in the confines of this city. So it was a place for us to go explore. Now we've got 4 grandsons. All 4 of those grandsons have been down to the Riverbend. All 4 of them clamor for another chance to go on another great adventure. And I really am saddened by the thought of telling them that we're going to pave it over and turn it into what is, for all intents and purposes, a super-duper sidewalk. We have enough sidewalks. I don't think we need to leave that as a legacy for our children. So please consider keeping it a natural creek bed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lancaster. Next, we have Margaret Ospina, followed by Jennifer Fez.
Good evening, council members. My name is Margaret Ospina. I live in Fisher Park neighborhood, and I am a member of Save Santiago Creek Alliance. My house backs up to the creek bed. I have been a homeowner there for 11 years, and I bought my house specifically for the nature. Please consider these thoughts about the proposed bike trail along the Santiago Creek. Please consider the cost of upkeep and who will pay for this. Does this mean more taxes for residents? Who will keep the bike trail clean? Who will remove all the graffiti that will appear? The creek already has trash and graffiti that is not dealt with. Please consider who will keep the bike trail safe. Think about the safety of the homeowners who will now have a bike path at their back walls. Think about who will be using the bike path between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. when city parks are to be closed. Who will be responsible for keeping people out? Please consider the bike path will not remain on the dirt path that is already there. It will take 18 feet from many established backyards. Homeowners will have to give up their property. There will be 40 residents immediately affected by the bike path running behind their houses. This bike trail would be built at the creek's narrowest point. Please consider the bike and foot traffic that will be going through our neighborhood to get to and from the trail. The bike path will be used more as a bypass for non-residents to get to and from Bristol and Maine. Please consider the destruction of nature. Trees will be cut down, wildlife will be unsettled, and habitats will be destroyed. Plants and animals that call the creek's green space home will leave due to the lack of natural space and the noise that people on bikes will bring, noise that homeowners will have to deal with. In the desire to ride a bike and build a bike trail, please consider the people who will be affected every day, especially on days other than Saturday and Sunday, weather permitting, when people are not riding their bikes. Please consider the homeowners' safety, their loss of property, and our community's loss of nature in order to pave a trail. By keeping the bike path in the open on streets instead of a back creek, we reduce the misuse of the trail and preserve nature. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pina. Next, we have Jennifer Fez. I think that's how you pronounce it. Fez, followed by Dennis Carvajal.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council. My name is Jennifer Fez. I'm a volunteer for the Santa Ana Historical Society. I'm also a member of the Save Santiago Creek Alliance, and I'm a resident in Floral Park, and my house is on your map as parcel 76. We would be directly affected by this bike path. My main reason for opposing it, the reason I moved to Santa Ana, the reason that I moved to Floral Park was because of the amazing sense of place and sense of history and a sense of time that has not been altered. And by putting something there that's directly going to affect not only a natural greenway but a flood path, you're going to be changing that timeless sense that makes Santa Ana and makes Floral Park as special as it is. And we directly enjoy the greenway that is in our backyard, literally. So I hope that you'll all consider opposing the bike path and creating an alternative for bicyclists to enjoy the paths and join them together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Fez. Next, we have Dennis Carvajal, followed by John Raya.
Good afternoon, council members and